Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Bahamas is committed to utilizing its ocean and terrestrial resources in a responsible manner that would ensure that the generations that will follow will still have access to these resources and all of the benefits that flow from them. Our obligation is to ensure that the citizens of our country and those that are invited in will be given priority in sustainably enjoying such resources. Having said that, however, we recognize that we have an obligation to the global community to behave in such a way that does not rob other nations of the benefits that arise out of those particular resources which are shared by various countries. We recognize that our actions or inaction in the Bahamas would affect migratory marine species that pass through our territorial waters, or which are nurtured in their infancy in one or more of our waterways. Similarly, we are committed to protecting our oceans and the quality of our air and lending our voice and actions to the chorus of environmental gatekeepers to slow and ultimately reverse the adverse impact of climate change. The Bahamas has largely been an import service economy, where its economy has been almost entirely dependent on tourism and financial services to generate foreign exchange earnings. In the Bahamas, tourism alone provides an estimated 60% of the gross domestic product and employs about half of the Bahamian workforce. Tourism is one of the Caribbean's major economic drivers, where many Caribbean islands now depend on tourism for their economic growth and development. In many ways, it is referred to as the engine for growth. Like many other countries in the region, the Bahamas is a coastal country, a big ocean state, but unique in many ways. The Bahamas is an archipelagic nation that extends from the southern tip of Florida to the large island of Hispaniola in the Caribbean Sea. The Bahamas covers an area greater than 343,450 kilometers squared and has a mean temperature of around 25 degrees Celsius. The Bahamas consists of approximately 3,000 small islands and keys and rocks with a land area of about 13,935 kilometers squared. The marine waters of the Bahamas accounts for in excess of 70% of our country. The Bahamas is home to the world's third largest barrier reef, lying close to the western shores of Andros Island. 5% of the world's coral is found in the waters of the Bahamas. We are also the home of the world's oldest land and sea park, the Exuma Land and Sea Park, located in the Exuma Keys. The marine and coastal resources of the country are facing increasing threats, particularly from unsustainable fishing, coastal development, invasive species, and pollution. Changes in the climate and ocean chemistry also poses serious threats to long-term sustainability of these resources. Protection of the marine environment is of paramount importance to the government and the people of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, specifically as it relates to the further development of our family islands. While the Bahamas moves to diversify its economy, tourism is still a sector in many family islands that can have positive and tremendous impact on the development of them. We recognize that there must be a careful balance between the protection of our resources and driving economic development. This is born out of the approach that we have adopted through successive administrations to protect our precious resources while creating opportunities for our citizens. The Bahamas government and its people are supported in these initiatives by local and international NGOs. I now move to the list of some of the initiatives already in place and some of the ongoing programs and speak briefly to each of them. The government of the Bahamas in the current term has enacted a number of legislative initiatives aimed at protecting our environment and with it, our tourism industry. We have passed the Ministry of the Environment Act, the Environmental Planning and Protection Act, the Bahamas National Trust Amendment Act, Bahamas Protected Areas Fund Amendment, Control of Plastics Pollution Regulation, EIA Regulation, Forestry Amendment Act, Forestry Declaration of Protected Trees Order, Biological Resources and Traditional Knowledge Act, and of course, the Fisheries Act of 2020. The Exuma Land and Sea Park was established in 1958 as the first land and sea park in the world. The park has contributed significantly to the development of marine protected areas around the world. The demonstrated success of the MPA model contributes to conserving resources throughout the world while simultaneously benefiting the Bahamian people by replenishing fish stocks and serving as a research tool for future protection of the marine environment. The park spans 100,000 acres of ocean, islands, blue holes, and coral reefs, and estuaries. In 2018, the Exuma Keys Land and Sea Park won the Platinum Global Ocean Refuge Award, meaning it meets the highest science-based standards for biodiversity protection and best practices for management and enforcement. The establishment of a system of marine protected areas in 1999, the government of the Bahamas moved to allocate some 10% of the country's marine environment for the establishment of MPAs throughout our archipelago. Some 4 MPAs were therein declared sometime after the declaration and consultation with the Family Island residents. In 2008, the Caribbean Challenge Initiative was launched to provide greater leadership to chart a new course for protecting and sustainably managing the marine and coastal environment across the Caribbean. The Bahamas was one of 2 governments that initially agreed to participate in the CCI challenge, committing to effectively manage at least 20% of their nearshore and marine environment by the year 2020, the 2020 challenge. It hopes to achieve this target by expanding the Bahamas' National Protected Area System. The Bahamas is presently in the process of declaring some 43 new MPAs as a part of its commitment to the CCI challenge. The passage of New Fisheries Bill 2020, which was gazetted on the 31st of December 2020, speaks directly to the establishment of fisheries management plans, conservation and management measures, designation of fishing zones, closed seasons and closed areas, and marine protected areas under Part 6 of the new bill. The new bill replaces the Fisheries Resource, Jurisdiction and Conservation Act of 1977, which was outdated and did not speak to most of the aforementioned areas, their importance, and how we ought to properly manage our marine environment as a matter of law. In 2011, the Bahamas moved to protect sharks by amending its laws to protect its sharks' sanctuary, to prohibit commercial shark fishing, along with the sale, importation, and export of shark products. The amendments now protect more than 40 shark species in Bahamian waters. The Bahamas has a long history of valuing sharks, shark research, and generating lots of revenue through shark-specific ecotourism. The Bahamas has long been one of the foremost countries in the region, noted for its fly and flat fishing. In 2017, the Bahamas passed new legislation to govern the sector. One of the major tenets of the new legislation is the catch and release mandate, which ensures the sustainability of not just the targeted species, i.e. bonefish, permit, snook, cobia, tapon, or the fishery, but also the sports fishing sector, which has developed into a niche market for Bahamian tourism. In 2018, the Bahamian spiny lobster, otherwise known as crawfish, attained the certification by the Marine Stewardship Council, one of the most recognized and most reputable seafood certifications. After a 9-year project and 19-month-long assessment, the certification grant confirms that the Bahamas lobster fishery is sustainable. It meets the highest standard that focuses on the state of the lobster fishery as it relates to the management, the harvesting, and the ongoing protection of the broader environment within which that particular species survive. The Bahamas, as a result of that certification, now has access to foreign markets previously not available. And the country is reaping the benefits in this industry as a result. The Bahamas is about to embark on a climate action project, March of 2021, designed around coral restoration. This coral restoration project will support Sustainable Development Goal number 13, climate action through sustainable marine practices conducted during the reef restoration. The expected outcome is to increase the awareness and adaptation of the climate smart and resilient practices and technologies in the marine resources. The purpose of this project directly addresses Objective 6 of the draft climate change policy: improve knowledge and understanding. The project will A, raise awareness on the SDGs with specific focus on climate change impacts on marine resources. B, engage youth by building capacities in reef restoration. And C, support coral reef ecosystems through the growing of coral colonies. I believe the point should be made that the fisheries and tourism sectors should communicate with each other while bearing in mind that we are not adversaries, we're partners. What might seem like conflicts might actually be opportunities. You can use the example of the conch bag limits to illustrate this point. It might appear that removing conch from the bag limits that tourists can actually harvest flies in the face of tourism's objectives. However, it might have the effect of boaters now having more reason to come ashore and spend just a little bit more money and time with Bahamians enjoying the unique way in which we prepare conch. And of course, this increases the interaction in tourism. This would also add to the tourism product, simultaneously allowing the government to get a better hand on how much conch is landed in the Bahamas while limiting the free-for-all by tourists. There may also be an opportunity to develop sea turtles viewing or interaction tourism, which would also provide an alternative livelihood for fishermen or others looking to benefit from the marine resources. The Bahamas National Trust has embarked on 2 projects aimed at securing our coral resources in the context of tourism. One will be at the Bahamas Resort and the other at the Clifton National Heritage Park. Both have touristic and environmental education value. The Bahamas has received global recognition that has highlighted our regional profile as a leader in environmental stewardship in the Caribbean. In 2018, the Bahamas National Trust won the Glorious Award, Blue Park Award, and my colleague, Minister Rumi Ferreira, went to Indonesia to receive it. In closing, the Bahamas has one of the largest marine territories of any country in the Caribbean. The marine and coastal resources of the Bahamas, its coral reefs, beaches, fisheries, and the mangroves help to define its people and culture. support marine diversity, and provide critically important ecosystem services like food security and coastal protection for the roughly 400,000 plus people who live here. It has truly been my pleasure to participate in this timely discussion today. The Bahamas government, the Grand Bahama Port Authority, is working on an exciting marine action lab to explode the blue economy. Our participation here today is to bring further attention to that collaborative effort that will involve multilateral organizations and others that will not only be good for the marine environment, but associated industries inclusive of tourism. We must ensure that all of the steps we take do not lead to soil erosion, increased pollution, natural habitat loss, and more pressures on endangered species. These effects can gradually destroy the environmental resources on which tourism itself depends. Thank you.